friends that go to disc golfing by themselves. So that's a normal thing.
Okay, thanks.
Here we go.
That's encouraging to me.
It's very normal.
All right. Kendra's back. We're ready. Sylvia. Sylvia's gone. She's gone down.
That's good. Actually, during COVID, when disc golf kind of took off,
Yeah.
it was.
Good morning. It is 9 o'clock. I'd like to call the Planning and Policy Committee of August 12 to order. So first on the agenda is public comments. Please keep them to 3 minutes. Is there any public comments at this time? None. Perfect. Well, we'll move on then. Consent resolutions, approval of the minutes of July 8, 2025.
For the agenda?
Support. Jermaine, support, all in favor, should be saying aye. Aye. Move on to action item number 1. It's the Greenway Trailhead Restroom Project.
Make a
I'm sorry. Over. What'd I do?
You're on.
motion to approve the consent resolutions?
I think Phil's had a lot of coffee this morning.
Oh, I said approval agenda. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. All right. All right. Approval of the minutes of July 8 of the consent resolutions of Planning and Policy 2025.
So moved.
Support. All in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Here we go.
We're moving.
Moving now. All right. It's the Greenway Trailhead Restroom Project. The motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners the Land and Water Conservation Fund Program Project Agreement for the Upper Mac Natural Area Greenway Trailhead Restrooms. The associated resolution committing to the launch, match, and long-term maintenance of the project area and the appropriations of grant revenue and corresponding expenses of $347,500 in fiscal year 2025.
So moved.
Jason's here for Kurt's gonna ask any questions if you want questions. Questions? Or just a little bit fill in what's going on there, Kurt.
So this is for restaurants that are been talking about this for quite a while. The area is getting a lot more use. It's along one of our main paved trails. It's also the trailhead for the mountain bike trails that are there, which are very popular. And it's also part of a bigger effort down there that we've talked about, I think, before, where we're cooperating with Holland Township to do some improvements at their Hawthorne Pond Park. And part of that project is a new trail along the Macatawa River that would connect these two areas. So really good project. This is a modern restroom. It has all the features that we've been putting in our more recent restrooms, family restroom. This one is unique. It actually is going to have changing rooms and showers for bikers. We'll see how that goes, but we've had that request for this spot before, so we're going to include that in this project. So really good one. And this, I should say, this grant is Land and Water Conservation Fund. It's funding 50%. That money has already been budgeted. So,
Questions for Kurt? Perfect. Please call the roll, Rachel.
Mr. Teeples.
Yes.
Mr. Moss.
Yes.
Mr. Barry.
Yes.
Mr. Bonema.
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra.
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel.
Yes.
Mrs. Miedema.
Yes.
Mr. Juritzma.
Yes.
Mr. Bruger.
Yes.
Mr. Kyers.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. And number 2 is the Kirk Tunnel Park Stairs reconstruction. The motion is to approve and forward to the Board of Commissioners agreement with VP Construction for Kirk and Tunnel Park Stairway reconstruction project in the amount of $348,000.
So moved.
Support. And support. Kurt.
sure. So this project is at Kirk Park and Tunnel Park. Those are two of our oldest parks. So some of our facilities there are ending their useful life, including these stairways, one at Tunnel Park that goes along. If you're familiar with that, there's kind of a open dune running up, not the lake side, but the side facing the park. So the stairway along the edge of that is one. And then at Kirk Park, we're doing, building a new stairway down to the lake and renovating the deck that's there. Those both need it. And it also includes, which have been a long time coming, but there was some boardwalk and stairs that was damaged from the high water a few years ago. And it's taken us a while to figure out what we wanted to do and to make sure what we do is not going to be susceptible to that kind of thing again. So it includes that as well. So our contractor is VP Construction, who actually does a ton of work for us. They built the tree houses at Ottawa Sands, for example, done a lot of work and very reasonable and good quality work too. So
They did an amazing bid, didn't they?
yeah, compared to some of the other ones, yeah. There were some people who were just throwing something out, but it stuck, I think. But no.
Just one question. So at Kirk Park, is this the main stairway where you walk down the path and you get to?
Yeah, when you walk down the
sand?
pavement. Yeah, right.
So I'm curious on how they're going to handle the sand.
Well, that area gets shoveled out, more than just shovels, obviously bigger equipment to get it out. So this will give us we're going to build it a little bit higher, and we're actually moving it over a little bit so that it's actually easier for us to maintain that area around it. So can't say it'll never get buried. The last one was buried for over a decade, and it finally came out a few years ago. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Just a quick question. What's the time frame for when the construction work would be done?
So
End of the season?
yeah, start after Labor Day and then be done. We gave them quite a long time frame, but it'll be done in May of next spring at the
And
latest.
because of weather, would it make sense for them to push that back to first quarter as opposed to trying to do it now? I don't mean to micromanage that, but I just know weather gets tough out there.
Yeah, it does. But it's interesting if the weather, it can vary so much, right? Sometimes he will work right through the winter if it's decent enough.
Okay.
Yep.
Any issues with needing to have any park closures, or it'll be able to continue on as?
I think we're thinking if we do it on the off season that we can maintain the parks open.
Great.
That was going to be my question
Okay.
with Tunnel Park. Is the top of that dune still going to be accessible for folks wanting to watch the sunsets or whatever?
Yeah, well, right. They'd probably have to climb the sand. Or you could go down the other route to the beach and then climb up the stairs that come from the lake. And actually, no, now that I say it, there is another route up on the very south edge of the park, another stairway. It's not as direct, but yes, you can get up there for that.
Perfect. All right, Rachel, please call the roll, please.
Mr. Berry,
Yes.
Mr. Bruger,
Yes.
Mr. Zylstra,
Yes.
Mr. Bonema,
Yes.
Mrs. Wenzel. Nope, Mrs. Medema,
Yes.
Mr. Moss,
Yes.
Mr. Dritzma,
Yes.
Mr. Teeples, Mr. Kyers.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. Jason. Now we move on to Health and Human Services updates and the Community Action Aid Share. Jennifer Borowski, Program Director. Good morning.
Good morning. A couple of updates for us, and I know there were some questions on the financial end of things, so I can answer questions for that too if you'd like, or I could stay for the next meeting. So general updates, we have a couple of fundraising events coming up. We're doing things a little bit differently. Not just doing the Walk for Warmth once a year, but we are going to have an event at Noodles and Company on Thursday, August 21st from 4 to 8 p.m. So a very simple event. Essentially, anybody that goes in and mentions us, 25% of those proceeds of the sales will come right back to us, and it'll support our Walk for Warmth Utility Assistance Fund. So we're excited about doing something a little bit different. Coming up, we're going to try to do more of those events at local restaurants. Very easy to do. Essentially, you just get signed up with them and they'll do percentages of their sales back to you. So more of that will be coming. We're also going to be doing a fall event on October 25th at Pigeon Creek Park. We're very excited to partner with the Parks Department and have an event there. It will be another walk, very quick event, Saturday morning, 9 to 10 a.m. It just so happens to be the same day as the U of M Michigan State game. So we're going to do a little healthy rivalry for that. So we're excited to get that event planning underway. So more details to come, but just wanted you to have that on your calendars. We're also doing more community events. Fall seems to be a popular time for that. We will be part of the OA ISD Open House. That's happening on August 14th, so that's Thursday, I believe, from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Allendale, Ottawa Area Center. We will also be at the Veterans Resource Fair coming up in September on the 18th from 10 to 2 p.m. in Grand Haven. So we're excited to have booths at these events so that we can give out our resources to the community. Other programmatic updates, we have one of our programs with Holland Board of Public Works, actually two of them will be ending. There's some changes coming with utility assistance and how that works. So for that reason, they will no longer need utility assistance through our program. But thankfully, we have a new program coming up with the Zealand Board of Public Works, where we will be doing more of those home energy 101 inspections. So we're doing that in the Holland area for Holland BPW customers, but we'll be expanding out to the Zealand area, which is really exciting for us. So what that looks like is our energy auditors or volunteers going out into the homes of individuals that might need a little bit more education on energy usage. It's been really hot, so it's a great time of year to do that. So we'll have more details once that program is up and rolling, but we're still doing that with Holland Board of Public Works customers now. So anybody, regardless of income, if you're a Holland Board of Public Works customer, you can contact our office and we can go out and do an energy audit, a very brief one, energy education for about an hour. And then after that education, then then the customer will receive a box of items where they can update some items in their home. So like caulking and some of the window coverings and things like that. So really great ways to lower utility bills, which I don't know about you all, but mine have gone up. So we're just trying to find ways that we can help the community lower some costs. So those are just kind of general updates. I'm happy to answer any questions. And again, if you want me to save my other questions for the next meeting, I'm happy to do that as well.
Yeah, I'll save my finance questions for the next one.
Of
But
course.
on the energy audits.
Yes.
Do you, or have you in the past, or could you, if somebody else is not doing it in the northern quadrant, work with the Grand Haven Borough
Yes.
Power? I do remember seeing some flyers from them where they have done them in the past. I don't know how frequent, but anyway,
Yeah.
any comments you have on that?
Yeah, I appreciate that. The intent is to do our services. I mean, we do try to do all of our services countywide, right? That's one that we're looking to expand to that area. We have spoken with them and done some events with Grand Haven in the past in mobile home communities, but we're looking to do a little bit more of that. So we're definitely open to that partnership. We're starting with Zealand. They approached us, so we're kind of starting that. And the goal would be to duplicate that throughout the entire county. So that's absolutely on our radar, and I'm glad you brought that up. We would
Sounds
love
good.
to do that.
Yeah, and at some point I'll connect you with the staff at the Board of Light and Power.
Yeah, they're great, Eric. Yeah.
You already
Yep,
got
we're
it.
in,
All right,
yep,
got it.
we know them. They're wonderful. I agree. They do utility assistance with Salvation Army in Grand Haven specifically. But as far as I know, I'm not sure if they have a home energy 101 type of program, but we would love to expand to that area.
I remember an energy audit question coming up somewhere in the city, and I don't know that they do that at the moment, so that'd be all.
Right, we would love to do that. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you
Are
for the
you,
question.
are you wanting to chat about this during the discussion of the budget? Is that where we want to fit it in on the agenda?
No, yeah, no,
Okay.
that was more the finance questions, to do those on the finance part of the next meeting. Sorry, your
Well,
meeting.
then, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's my question about the finance
Mm.
agenda. Are we wanting to have questions for Jennifer under the discussion item, fiscal year 2026 operating budget? Is that where you want to fit that
We
in?
should maybe, I know.
Or do it now?
I think we should do it in finance personally.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know how the rest of you feel about it, because it is finance.
That makes sense to me.
I know, respectful of her, and I said she didn't have to stay, but I think it should be in finance. My
So,
opinion.
so you,
Anybody else?
I don't mind waiting if she doesn't. I mean.
I plan to stay here, so that's fine.
okay.
Sure,
So it's towards the end of the agenda, but that'll work.
sounds great.
Any other questions? Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the reports is the update from the Department of Health and Human Services. Kendra Spanger. I don't know if you want to combine these or how you want.
I would love to combine them.
Combine them. We would be
Great.
good with that.
All right. So I wasn't actually going to go through the PowerPoint that was submitted. I did see it in the packet. So I'm going to kind of just give updates that go along with the packet. So if you feel like following along, I'm going to give updates as to where we are currently. So first, when I was here last, we talked about universal caseload, which actually is starting next week, Monday. We already have staff starting to come back to the building as of today and tomorrow. We want everyone up and rolling to make sure we have network access to ensure that everyone is set up with their computers and such. So you will see some more individuals at our location at James Street. So our parking lots will start to be full again, like they were 5+ years ago, as we have staff returning. So the individuals that process for universal caseload. So that's kind of where I'll go through from the PowerPoint moving on. So the Family Independence Program, or as people call it, cash assistance, as of June of this year, we have seen a little bit of a decline from our 2024 numbers, which are in the packet, which were 104, and now they're down to about 101. So very minimal, but staying higher than 2023. Our food assistance program, same individuals processing that as well. In 2024, we were at 9303, and as of June, we're at 9137, and those are cases, not individuals. For individuals, for food assistance, we're at 17,646 individuals receiving food assistance. So still higher than 2023, but lower than 2024. For child daycare, we are at according to the 2024 data, we were at 375. That continues to rise. So we're currently at 418 families receiving child daycare assistance, which is representing 682 children. And so again, that continues to go up. We definitely see that correlating to our individual we have placed at the Ottawa area ISD. They pay for half a position in conjunction with us. And since that person's been in place, we've over doubled the number of people that are receiving daycare. We believe the biggest reason for that is because she's doing a lot of work on getting kids into preschool, and some of the locations are not full day. And so she's helping families that are getting into the preschool to also have daycare to potentially make it a full day. So we've seen a great impact for us locally and money coming into Ottawa County. Next is our state disability assistance. Our average number of individuals receiving that in 2024 was 63. We are down to 56, so just a slight decline, less 2024, but still higher than 2023. Also, those same individuals oversee our state emergency relief funds, and that one is majority of our funds are federally funded, and state is compared with it. So I'll give you an example. So like for June, we made 84 payments out with SER, and 70 of them were federally funded and only 14 were state funded. So definitely continue to see an increase of federal funds coming into Ottawa County. And then the last program that universal caseload covers is Medicaid, which obviously for us in Ottawa is our largest number of recipients in the county. And so in the data that's presented to you, it switches from cases to recipients. So with the numbers that were provided, so in 2024, we averaged 32,145 individuals in Ottawa County receiving Medicaid. That's actually gone up in 2025. So most of our besides CDC, Medicaid is the only program that's gone up. And that one, we are currently at 32,290 individuals receiving Medicaid. Now, the biggest reason why I would say that's changed over 2023 and 2024 is, if you recall, in 2023, we started doing redeterminations again. So from 2020, we stopped redetermining if people were eligible. Once you were eligible, you stayed eligible because of pandemic funds. 2023, we started to institute redeterminations to evaluate if individuals were still eligible for Medicaid. So we saw a slight decline for that period of time for a couple of reasons. One, either individuals didn't return their documents, they didn't know they had to be redetermined. So there was a couple of snags there for some individuals, but many people reapplied and then may have become eligible again. And with Medicaid, continue is Healthy Michigan Plan, which there's been a lot of questions. Is that going to be impacted with some of the changes at the federal level? At this point, we don't have anything to provide yet with communication about what the state's response will be to some of those cuts. As I'm sure you're fully aware, the state has not approved their budget yet. So once that is approved, we'll have a little bit more clarity on what Healthy Michigan plan may look like. That one did go back from recipients to cases. So in the data you received in 2024, we had 10,800 individuals that are receiving Healthy Michigan plan. And as of June, we were down to 9,638 cases, which represents 10,566 individuals. So between the two Medicaid programs, we are over 40,000 individuals here in Ottawa County. So that's where our universal caseload ends. I know there was questions last time I was here if universal caseload also impacts child welfare, and it does not. So the universal caseload ends with those assistance programs. So continuing with the, just through the report, migrant program, I have asked that they were going to come with me today. However, due to having the annual report on here, I didn't want to delay how long we were presenting. So I unfortunately will not be here in November because it's Veterans Day. So it's a state holiday, so we will be off, but I will have the individual come with me in January, which is the off season, which I think is a great timing anyway for you guys to get a wrap up of what occurred in 2025 for assistance with our migrant program. All right, then moving on to our child welfare impact. First, Pathways to Potential. We did have 5 schools that we were in the past. Due to Pathways being in the budget as being removed financially, we are currently down to 2 staff, not only because of that reason, but we had some staffing changes and those positions were not filled either by the school requesting it or staffing reasons. So we are down to 2 schools that will be rolling out this fall, and then we'll know when the budget is signed if indeed that will continue. Our employer resource network also ended as of January of 2025. So we do not have an individual out in businesses any longer for those connections. Family resource specialists, I know I've reported about that in the past with our FIT program. They're the ones that are filling the gap between assistance payments and child welfare. And we continue to see a great impact with funds that they're able to use to bridge some of those small gaps. So we'll continue with that program in our prevention for child welfare. There we go, talking to us. All right, so child welfare. So some other changes we have for them. So starting in October, you will see another slight increase of individuals coming to our office as we will have staff in the building for a minimum of 3 days a week. Currently, they are able to work completely hybrid. They obviously are in and out anyway, but there will be some changes slightly in October for them. So for child welfare, Children's Protective Services, first, we've seen a significant increase. So the data that you have in front of you kind of showed like a little bit of an incline from CPS since 2020. However, in this next year, I think you're going to see a pretty significant hike. So just from January to June, so only halfway through the year, we've already received 2,169 calls into our centralized intake. And of that, 902 have been assigned. So we're kind of back to 2018 levels related to assignments of CPS investigations here in Ottawa. The assignment rate is about 42%, whereas last year we were at 39%. So just that slight increase of 3% does make a pretty significant difference for us here in Ottawa. With that, our investigations that are opening, obviously the more investigations we have, the likelihood there's going to be more that are open. There's a correlation there. So we've also seen a pretty significant increase, about 15% for us here in Ottawa. So we're averaging about 66 cases in 2024, and now we're up to 77 cases that are open for ongoing services or substantiations. So continuing to see an increase in our child welfare. On the positive side, we continue to see a decline in the number of kids coming into care though. So we may be investigating them, but we are finding ways to maintain them in their homes. And so for foster care, in the report, as you can see, I love to see the numbers going this way when the services can go this way. So that's what we continue to see. So in 2024, we were averaging 97 kids in foster care. And as of 2025, so for the first half of the year, we are down to 76. So we continue to see some great numbers there. Really, it's through partnership, it's through the amazing work of prevention, the implementation of the family resource teams, amazing staff that are doing motivational interviewing, really making those connections. So, I mean, I can't say enough about my team and the great work that we've done over the last 5 years. Some of the partners, I know that was a question last time, was who are some of our primary partners related to foster care? Bethany Christian Services and Pathways of Arbor Circle are our two primary agencies that we work with for those services, but it does expand outside of Ottawa County with some agencies that have satellites here. So we do have some cases with Holy Cross and Samaritas as well. As of the June, we had 74 licensed foster homes. But as I always pitch, we continue to need more homes, especially those that are interested in male teens, as that continues to be our biggest need. Let's see. And lastly, MYOI, our Michigan Youth Opportunity Initiative, there was a slide on that as well. And we have 13 youth that are actively involved with that. The reason why I wanted to bring that specifically up is I've had a couple of agencies reach out to me related to what kind of services are out there for teens that are aging out of the system. And they were asking for some data. I'm trying to find wood. Knock on wood. We do a really great job of not having youth just age out of foster care. So we have a lot of connections in the community. We have a lot of kids that are actually aging into great services and or finding places to go. So we don't have youth just aging out and becoming homeless. But please, if there are agencies, I guess I'm talking to the YouTube world too. If there are agencies that want to partner with us, please reach out. We do have a great program. But I guess there was just some maybe misconceptions that we had hundreds of kids that were aging out of the system. We don't even have hundreds of kids in care here in Ottawa. As I mentioned, we had 76. But we definitely are wanting to partner with people if they have ideas on how to make the youth successful. And then just lastly, at the end, the reason why I have to present annual reports is we do have a county budget. So our board budget is set up through the county. So thank you for that. This last year's budget was $61,640, paying for stipends and such for my board members and participation in the Michigan County Social Services Association, which we are very grateful for. And Ottawa is an amazing representative. And we're going to be at our conference in September. So thank you for supporting the board to attend that. This next conference is about aging. And as you know, we have a very large aging population here in Ottawa. So they'll continue to receive some great information about services and how we can implement some of those here in Ottawa. All right, any questions?
Yeah,
Me first?
yeah, you first.
Hi, welcome.
Okay, thanks.
So on this CDC, child care, how do you qualify? I understand the need and where it comes into play. Someone needs, child care for employment or whatever else. But how do you qualify to get that kind of coverage?
So there is requirements related to income. So when they apply, their income will be evaluated and any expenses they may have. With CDC, one of the biggest benefits now is that once you are eligible, even if you make changes in your income for the first year, you maintain eligibility. Whereas in the past, if you started a job and you were eligible and then you got a 25-cent raise and maybe it just pushed you over the edge, then you may have lost your daycare. That is one of the, it's probably maybe in the last 5-ish years, that change happened. And so we are seeing people staying on longer because they don't lose their benefit. But the initial eligibility is where we're just evaluating what their income is and any expenses.
So that's my question. So I know other programs are based on income-based, 133%, for instance, on disabilities, other Medicaid. But what is the eligibility for this? Is there a standard for that?
So no, because we're using expenses. So for each one of our programs has different requirements related to income. So some it's truly just what is your income and doesn't even look at your assets, doesn't look at what your expenses may be. With CDC, it does look at all of those components. So unfortunately, there's not like if you make 15,000, you're eligible, because there's other things that could impact your eligibility criteria. So we just tell people, if you think you might be out, just apply. Otherwise you're just going to get something that says you're denied, but you should at least apply and see if you're eligible.
So that, again, that's still my question.
Yeah.
is it a discretionary analysis at that point? Or
No.
is there a formula that you have to use that calculate coverage?
Yes.
Stability?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, there is a formula, but it's not something that's like, like I said, if you make 20,000 and then you subtract your rent and then you've got, so all those pieces are used in that formula.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Jim?
Oh, Jim, go ahead, Jim.
I just had a question about the CDC. Are you seeing need, is there an unmet need for childcare? Because those numbers seem kind of low for 300,000 people in the county.
Sure. So obviously, these would be individuals that would be the lower income portion of the population. I think our biggest issue is just sometimes there's daycare deserts. And so there's certain areas of the county where individuals might be eligible, but they can't find a provider.
Gotcha.
So I sit on the Great Start Collaborative Council, on their executive committee. I also have staff that are on the day-to-day committee. And so we're trying to help bridge some of those gaps of finding those. The OIASD has done an amazing job of finding preschool locations with the new requirement, or not requirement, but the new eligibility that all individuals can receive preschool. So we've seen a huge increase there. And some of those providers are also willing to provide forms of daycare in addition to their preschool, which has been really nice to see those two partnering together. And so we can sometimes help bridge that gap too for funding.
Because cost of daycare can keep people out of the workforce, which makes the housing problem just that much more complicated.
Sure.
So I see all these things working together, so keep on carrying on. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, question about Medicaid.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of other providers out there like Blue Cross Blue Shield, Priority are a couple. Do you have any cross-referencing with those carriers that when people who were on Medicaid now have acquired insurance elsewhere, that you can verify that they've got insurance elsewhere so that they're not on the taxpayer's dime at that point, but are double insured, in other words? Is there a way to see that, or are we just relying upon the insured to self-report?
So the answer is a little bit of both. Medicaid is actually provided by those entities. So like Medicaid Priority Health. So individuals can choose to have Priority Health under Medicaid. And so the same with Blue Cross. So here in Ottawa, we have, I think, 4 providers. So Priority Health, Blue Cross, Meridian, and there's a 4th. So they are underneath the Medicaid umbrella, and individuals once a year can designate which type of insurance they want. So many of those providers will be able to identify if someone is getting other insurance coverage. I don't see that happening a lot. We don't have a lot of people that are all of a sudden getting insurance through somewhere else because many of those providers are running them to see if they have insurance. So like an example would be like if someone goes to get their prescription filled and you hand them like a Priority Health card, they're going to also identify that you're on Medicaid because it's going to come up as a secondary insurance. And so those sometimes will be flagged.
So I'm familiar with a situation where an adult was assigned priority for their Medicaid
Okay.
and then later got a job in construction and was given access to insurance, which they purchased through that. However, they never did anything to say, I'm no longer in need of Medicaid, but the Medicaid keeps renewing, auto-renewing without any kind of reporting for the last 2 years. So it appears that they're just getting double insured. That's the reason for my question.
Yeah, I guess that might be something you need to send directly to us because there shouldn't be anybody that's auto-renewed anymore since 2023.
Yeah.
So that would be something that would be worth sending in for our review.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Morning. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Thanks for your report as well. Very, very well done. I have a couple questions. One, you had mentioned at the beginning about the staff coming back to the building. Can you share a little bit about how many people that looks like? And then any anticipated, I guess, things that maybe you'll have to work through as that takes place, and anything maybe you're looking forward to with that change?
Yeah, so we have about 50 individuals that will be back full time in the building. timing wise, I mean, many of them are hoping they can get through the 2 weeks of training and go back home. So it could be very short lived. Again, the biggest thing is, size. Right before COVID hit, we actually were going to called flip our building. So the way that we have it set up is there's cubicles for child welfare on one side of the building, and then there's our assistance payments on the other side. There's nothing that like actually physically separates the two, but that's just the way the building is set up. And we were actually going to flip it in order to maximize our cubicle space. However, that was scheduled to happen like the end of March 2020. So we canceled that. So we're just kind of trying to finagle where people will be sitting, which has been a fun task. And there's lots of things that got put in places for 5 years that you just didn't know was there. So it's been very eye-opening, but a good experience. Our best thing is that staff, some people haven't even seen each other. For 5 years, if you've been working at home, you may have never even seen new people that have started. So kind of excited for that. Excited to see how they bust this out. Like, we are doing a fantastic job of all of our cleanup work. Speaking of Jacob's point, we get wage matches and new hires. So when someone gets a job or they win a lottery ticket, all those things, if it has social security numbers, we get an alert like, hey, this might impact someone's assistance. So those kind of things we had to clean up and make sure they were up to date before we roll out universal caseload. And the staff has done a phenomenal job. We obviously are rolling out with other counties in toot our own horn. We're at the top of the wave. So very excited for the work that's been done. And I think they're just going to be glad to see each other for at least a short period of time before they want to go back home. So I think it'll be a great rollout.
So you're saying they only have to come back for a couple weeks?
Yeah, there's required training for the first 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then depending on how things go, we can slowly bring them back home if they're interested. So that will,
Okay.
from the 50,
So there's
we might leave.
options, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then I guess just overall, is there anything that as you kind of continue to go through different changes of how you're funded and what services that you're allowed to keep continuing? You had mentioned Pathways to Potential. Is there anything that you feel that you wish, I guess, that was taken into more consideration and needed to have a little bit more people rooting for certain services that you're doing that you're worried about cuts to, or anything that you wanted to highlight?
That's a great question.
Back to me that.
I would love to get back to you on that question.
Great.
Couple quick questions. My first comment is I love the detail in the report.
Oh, good.
Very detailed. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
With the Family Independence Program, is that through people around here who use it? Is that through West Michigan Works?
So there is a requirement that they have to participate in the PATH program.
Yeah.
And that is through Michigan Works.
So are they then driving from somewhere in Ottawa over to Grand Rapids to participate?
Nope, here in Ottawa.
Okay.
We have two, there's a location up in Grand Haven and there's one in Holland near our office.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yep.
Do they work then under the West Michigan Works banner then in partnership with that?
There's a lot of different things that West Michigan Works offers to them. It could be resume assistance. It could be job skill training. It could be actually placement on a job.
Yeah.
So all of those things. Yep.
And that's through the PATH program?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Can you, and maybe this is a question for Jacob Moss or somebody else, but can you speak to some of the outcomes that are being seen through the 21-day program?
Sure. So actually, we are now meeting monthly with Michigan Works to be reviewing where our gaps are. Our biggest thing that we are seeing is individuals that are coming over on refugee cash assistance. And so obviously some of those individuals aren't able to work because they may not have social security numbers or cards and things of that nature. So that's our biggest barrier that we're seeing right now. They also do have some funds available for things like vehicles, vehicle repair, taxi, things of that nature to get them either to Michigan Works or employment. So we're working through some of those, but right now it's more of evaluating case by case. So we're going into each one specifically, but we do have quite a few success stories, which are really exciting, where there are ones where if we just provided, the extra daycare, if we provided a vehicle repair, things of that nature, that they have been able to identify people getting into a job. One that we just actually talked about last month was an individual that went to the nursing. She went to a nursing program and has recently graduated with new skills that she wouldn't have gotten if she wouldn't have gone through Michigan Works.
Yeah, they at least West Michigan Works does a really good job of highlighting some of those success stories. So it's pretty cool to see. Are you seeing increases in some of those cases where people either are don't have driver's licenses or don't have a social security number or are undocumented or anything like that? Is it a trickle or a stream or what?
I mean, not that I'm aware of.
No. Okay. One other question. I guess I had two other questions that are, I think, pretty quick. Has there been discussion on bridge cards and changing them from magnetic to chip?
That has been a discussion. There's actually some other states that are like piloting it or trying it.
Mhm.
So I think we've kind of just waited to see what some of those responses from the other states have been. Because of the expense, I guess there's a huge expense to add a chip to the cards.
Yeah,
And
you have to reproduce every single card.
Right,
So it costs several $1 million.
right,
But the fraud from skimming and other activities is, 10 times the amount to just replace the cards.
right, right.
Is there a discussion within the state to really push this, or who's responsible for that?
Responsibility would definitely be through central office in Lansing. The last that I heard about it was probably about 6 months ago, and it was related to those couple of states that were piloting it to see if they saw some changes, because I think they were really doing some research behind it to see what kind of fraud, especially some of the things where we've seen a handful, not a lot in Ottawa, where people are doing it like through a walmart.com or purchases that way, and then someone might actually be going in and using the cards. But because of the requirement of having to have a PIN number to access it, we're not seeing a lot of that. It's smaller, I guess, than what we would have thought it would be. It's more of the things that we may re-implement, such as replacement cards. So if someone has to have their card replaced 5 times, I have to review it to ensure that it's not something where they're selling their card or using it in fraudulent ways. We do have ways to evaluate because we can go in and see where the purchases are being made from. So that's been helpful. We did used to have the requirement they had to come in and actually meet with me in person before they got their 5th card. That's no longer required, but I still have to sign off the approval for that.
Okay, and just for clarity, I've not heard of fraud in Ottawa County, and just so in case anybody's wondering. One last question. You had mentioned that there's been an uptick in some investigations related to CPS and other cases with kids, but that the numbers are actually going down and kids are actually being able to stay where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
So can you speak to what that means? Are there false reports that are happening, or are they not as egregious as people might think? Or why are the investigations going up, but the cases going down?
That's a good question. I think there's definitely more individuals that are calling in precautionarily. I wouldn't necessarily say that false reporting would be the correct wording. More of might be things that we now are able to have assistance with, like homelessness, I think would be a great example. So if you would have asked us 5 years ago if there are kids that are in foster care because a family is homeless, the answer could have been yes. Now we're really identifying if someone is homeless, what truly are the options, sitting down and talking with those families to evaluate what might be an option instead of removing them from the household. The other thing would be staff's ability to engage. So in the past, if a person was like, I'm not talking to you, I'm not going to let you in my house, we may have gone to court and said, let's make them have to comply with us. Now staff are doing a really great job of meeting people where they are and having the conversations instead of running to the court for that type of assistance. I can give you a specific example. So we have a young lady who was living in a homeless encampment, who also was actively using substances. And she says, well, I'm not going to meet with you. And the investigator said, well, where are you right now? I will meet with you wherever you are. Well, I'm in a cemetery. You don't want to meet me there. And she said, yeah, I do. And the two of them met at the cemetery and were able to address the issues. And luckily that family has been able to maintain their kids because of the willingness to cooperate and work in services. So in the past, would that have happened? No. If they say, no, I'm not going to do it, you'd call the police, you'd go to, so there's a lot of other things involved that we're seeing some great work in the community.
Well, thank you, and pass along our thanks for them going the extra mile.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That one? Good. You're doing a great job.
Thanks.
We're hitting you with a lot of questions. Yeah. How's the temperature? I had, the one, just a comment, having at one time been on food stamps, done my child, and benefited from that safety net.
Yeah.
I observed, my wife and I observed the plateau that you hit when you started to make it out.
Mm.
And it was an immediate cutoff. And I thought, boy, we're not really helping the situation here. So I'm very glad to hear that some of that's changed, that there's some graduated steps to really help people move out of those situations. So that's good to hear.
Yeah.
You mentioned, and I'm piggyback on Jim's question, which I think was very poignant as far as housing affordability, employment, and so forth, and that was daycare. You mentioned daycare deserts. Just an idea or a question if we've looked into this or if there are resources out there. A few years ago, through the ARPA grants, we gave, I think, $7.5 million to the Ottawa area, the Outdoor Discovery Center to help address daycare. And they've been doing a fabulous job with that, working on a very large macro level. Are there smaller grants out there or programs out there where if somebody who are in one of these daycare desert areas, most likely, I'm guessing they're not near our, urban centers. And so they may want to start a business. They may want to start daycare. Are there resources out there for them to get started, to set that up? Do we need to, like we gave $7.5 million on a macro level, do we need to come up with some micro $5,000 investments to help people get situated so that they can provide that service? Or are there people doing that? So that's my question, and I'll.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I will definitely bring that back to Great Start Collaborative Council, and I will make sure to provide you guys. There is actually on the Help Me Grow website for Ottawa County, they have a map of the county and where all the locations are. So you can kind of see where there might be some areas where we could see an impact would be beneficial. The other piece with that is how many. So like sometimes you'll see like, oh, there's a dot. Oh, they must have, enough daycare. Well, it might be 2 slots, whereas 1 dot is like, a center that takes 50 kids, So, but yeah, no, I can actually get that for you and provide it if you would like when I'm here in January.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would. I'm very curious. I mean, we do a great job with, I'm going to call targeted investment.
Sure.
Through things like Brownfield when it comes to businesses. And we've got little micro grants that we give out to help small business owners.
Okay.
If that's a need on the daycare side and we can find some grant money for it.
That would be great.
And it solves an issue, that'd be awesome.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll get that for you.
Just touching on that, I believe that was somewhat of a discussion that came up also with Lakeshore Advantage. So that might be an opportunity as well for you to collaborate, because that was one of their topics that they were wanting to highlight was the need for childcare in our area. And so the more people that are working on it on the same issue, probably the better. So I would
absolutely.
recommend connecting with them as well.
Good point.
Great.
Can't follow up. You want to go? Will you-
Oh, I thought you said Kendra.
I did say Kendra.
Okay.
Sorry, John.
No, that's okay.
Commissioner Wendell. What's that?
I have a different question for you. I just found out about a local thrift store in Hudsonville. It's called Grant Me Hope.
Yeah.
And they work to find forever homes for foster kids, as well as providing mentoring and housing for kids that have aged out
Yep.
of the system.
Yep.
Do they work with the county as well, or?
They work with us, with DHHS. Mhm.
I did not know that.
Yeah, yep, they have a location, actually a shelter of sorts, right on M40, by the highway. So yes, we've worked with them on a couple of different initiatives. They also help us with some of our overnight bags when we do have to remove. So yes, we have definitely partnered with Helen at Grant Me Hope.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My turn. So I'm going to stay with foster care for a minute.
Yeah.
It's follow up to everything that's been going on here. So according to your graph, in the last 7 years, foster care cases have dropped almost 50%, in more than that, in some cases.
Yeah.
So is that because we have less kids needing foster care? Is that because there are less homes to put them in? Is that because we're having family reunions again? Why the decline?
All of the above. No, truly, I mean, if I have someone that comes to me and says, I have a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old that there's an issue of like neglect in the home, my question is, what's more traumatic to the youth? Being removed from the home or finding ways to address the neglect? And so the majority of the time is, let's address the neglect and keep the kid where they are. It's less traumatic for them to stay in the home and receive services to rectify the situation than it is to pull someone out of their house. So we're always looking to that first. I'll be honest, do I have a plethora of homes for a 15-year-old boy right now? I don't. So what is more important to him would be to stay somewhere like that than it would be to have him sitting in my office, because I wouldn't necessarily have somewhere for him to go. Now, would we do that in a severe injury case? Absolutely not. Would we do that in a sexual abuse case? Absolutely not. Those are not questions we're going to ask. We're going to evaluate for safety and then find a place for that youth. So it really is a little bit of all of those things that you're asking. Our biggest removals that we've had over the last 6 months have actually been young children, infants, severe injury cases, things that maybe you've even seen in the media. So that's where we're seeing if there's true safety issues. Now, on the positive side, those cases are not ones where we have a history with the family. So that, I think, is also a difference that we've seen over the years. Is there sometimes where you're like, oh, it's that family again. Oh, it's, historical or systematic poverty or abuse. The cases that we've been seeing that have been higher, I guess, profile is what we call them, have actually been cases that have no history with us. And so trying to really evaluate each case in a case-by-case way, but really using supports. I think that's our biggest thing, is really at our TDMs, we're having good conversations. I actually provided some data, and actually I was going to bring the report today, and I didn't know if that was something you guys would be interested in, but I provided some data in a report to the court a couple weeks ago on our permanency and placement rate. And we, before a removal, do what's called a team decision-making meeting, where you're pulling in all entities, kind of in that wraparound model, as some of you have referenced. And with that, it's a requirement for any time you want to petition the court. And the data that we had was like, of 30 of those TDMs, only 20% we actually ended up petitioning the court, because there was a way with everyone at the table that we could find a way to keep the youth safely in the community, either in their home or maybe safely with a guardian or other outlets that don't need DHHS supervision. So again, I think it's that whole model of trying to wrap around families and provide them supports before jumping to removing them and putting them into foster care.
That's a change in policy that's happened over in recent years, or is that just an evolution of where we are? I mean, what?
All of the above. No, and actually, maybe I'll send you guys the PowerPoint that I did, because we actually provided an analysis, because we are one of the only counties that has the data that you're seeing. So when I first came to Ottawa 12 years ago, we had 212 kids in care. And now we're down to 76. There is a lot of things that we've put in place. There's not one magic bullet, though. Like, it's not just one thing we did and then poof, we've made this drastic change. We created a graph that kind of puts all the things that we've aligned over the years. Some things are state requirements. Some things we just chose to do as a county to make an impact. And so I'll provide that. That might be helpful for people to see some of the things that we've really implemented, especially since 2020. And that might provide some answers for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good. Looks like you did a really good job answering all our questions.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Great. Thank you. All right. We got another half hour before we start. If it's okay, Gary, you want to do, or Ron, an update on administration search, or is that okay?
Really do?
Yeah, well, we might as well. Yeah, I do want you to.
Okay, thank you. Well, as you know, application portal has been shut down. And I was told this morning that we have 57 applicants. And that's a variety of applicants. Ron, if you kind of want to share a little bit of the next steps in the process.
The one we're selecting.
As we've indicated in the past, the next step would be pulling together packets for the commissioners. And if it's 57 or 58, you can imagine the number of pages involved. So we're hoping that everyone will be willing to use the Dropbox method rather than printing all that material. But we'll leave that to your discretion. But that is the next step, and I believe our projected deadline to get that done is August 19th. Thereafter, the commission has to make some decisions on how they're going to approach whittling that group down to finalists. And we're here to aid in any way we can, but that will be up to you folks.
Do you think it would be possible, what do you guys think of this? To look at, to maybe you and your team, Gary, you guys, and analyze for us who the applicants that didn't meet the minimum prerequisites for the job. Because we had a lot of those in the last one, right? Now, I know you're going to give the whole packet to everybody. I get that. But to weed out, the number of people, I don't feel like I have to go back and look at those unless someone really wants to. It would help me to have that weeding out. So I'm looking at, 40 instead of 58. What do you guys think of that? At least to get your thoughts if this person even qualifies.
I mean, we're certainly willing to do that. That's an objective issue, not a subjective one. I have a feeling it's not going to reduce the group that much, but
Well,
I think that would be very helpful.
if it's objective, Double Hall had some minimum criteria that they were looking for, and it reduced it by a few, even.
Yeah.
That would be great. But
Sometimes
as long as we're
there's-
getting all of the applicants as been requested.
sometimes there's a similar experience alternative to some of the criteria too that makes it difficult.
I'd say, I would agree, John, if there's any that are, someone who's had 1 year of experience that had, and just obviously objectively doesn't even reasonably meet the requirements, it would at least be helpful to flag those.
I think that's the right word. Flag's the right word.
Yeah, because sometimes people just apply for everything and they don't look at what they're applying for, and it becomes real obvious.
Yeah, and it's just a flag. So we can go back and check and somebody wants to check because we'll have it. But anyway.
Ron, were those new applicants or those are existing plus the new applicants?
Say that one more time.
Sorry, were those new applicants or existing plus new applicants?
It's both. We have 24 people that were DHS, Double Hall Solutions applicants. So it's, kind of 50-50 almost.
From my perspective, I think it could go either way, whether or not you flag them or not. Usually when you look at an application, it's pretty obvious which ones are going to be the flags. I think even on our own, usually they were pretty minimal of what they submit. It's the professionalism, the quality that you look at is pretty obvious, I think, but.
Yeah, we can take a shot at it and see, how productive it is. I'm just guessing it probably won't be that big of a group that is whittled out, but we'll take a shot and see if that's the consensus of the board.
I think that's my sense as well. I'd appreciate that, but if you're saying, and what I'm hearing is that we had 58 total applicants, the vast majority of which are at least minimum qualified.
Probably.
That's phenomenal that many people are interested. That's wonderful news. So just want to make that note. They want your job, Gary.
Yeah. Gary said they could have it, so.
Josh.
One more
I
question.
guess, again, I guess we'd take whatever direction the board wants us to do, and, we can flag them, and then you can
Look at them.
look at some of the rationale we flagged for, and, do what you want.
I don't know if it's possible, but I guess what I was thinking of wasn't so much like a red flag, but if there could be a like a grid system, a layout to do kind of a side-by-side comparison of a very brief highlight of each individual, just so we kind of see how they line up with each other without going through packets for 58 people. If there was, well, we're still going to go through them, but I mean, some kind of it's when you do a comparative market analysis in real estate, you get line by line of each house, and you can compare the features and the benefits of each one. It might be labor intensive to put that together, but it would be interesting and helpful to kind of just get a snapshot as a place to begin. I don't know if that's possible. I think that'd work.
I can't, I think that'd be really difficult, Jim.
I'm just asking.
I did one of those last time. It did take a long time, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to doing it again and sharing, but.
Yeah, will you do that, Joe?
58's different.
Yeah, I just stirred it.
Spoke too soon.
Good out.
Uh-huh.
Good.
Don't ask, don't get.
Work. Yep. All right, this is the second opportunity for public comment. Any public comment? Anybody online? Well, perfect. Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, so moved.
We are adjourned. We will back at 10:30, correct? No.